Welcome, everybody, to the Glass Soldier podcast. It is the first of the month, February. A few things we're going to highlight today, like Black History Month, time management, self-esteem. It's National Boost Your Self-Esteem Month. And I've got two of my co-hosts with me today. We're missing our girl, Ayana. She's MIA today. She has something else more important than us.
Nothing's more important than us.
You said it, Kim. You said it. I was thinking it. You said it.
But I got Toni. I got Toni and Kim in the building, and I'm excited because I feel like Kim is going to drop some gems tonight.
Oh boy!
Yay! I'm telling you, as soon as I can find the button, the DJ button that goes, I'm going to get it.
No, we just got to be.
Have I told y'all my table analogy? Maybe I'll share one time my table analogy with y'all.
I can't.
My table being set. Have I shared that with you before?
No, I can't wait to get the t-shirts. I can't wait to get the t-shirts. F. What was it?
FTS.
Oh yeah.
Full-time support.
Full-time support. That's what we're here for. Full-time support.
Absolutely.
I can't.
If that's what you say.
Oh my gosh. How has y'all week been? Because technically the podcast comes out on the 1st, but it's Wednesday. We're recording. How's y'all's week been so far?
Bruh, I had a time today. As you can see, I'm drinking Crown.
No, I didn't.
Yes. I had a time today.
Wow.
This is how it started off. So, I'm in my new unit, right? Yeah. I get there and they tell me I have to go to the UA, urinalysis office to in-process. I get there and to in-processes and the girl was like, oh, you're going to have to provide a sample today. Hold on, wait. I'm just in process. Ain't nobody said nothing about me had to pee in a cup. I'm not prepared for that, number one. And
my gosh,
like this, it's like 10 people in the room when she says this to me. So I'm like, look, wow. Didn't nobody say nothing about that. I just came here to that's not even the worst part. So we go into the bathroom where I have to do this urinalysis. There's some random girl just sitting on the floor in one of the stalls. It's like 1 million people in there. They don't have a designated bathroom for you to do the UA. People walking in and out, and then this girl watching me pee in a cup.
On the floor?
It was humiliating, is what it was. And I was so angry. I couldn't tell if it was rage or anxiety at that point because I was shaking at this point. Like, because I was not prepared for that.
You said she was sitting on the floor in the bathroom?
In the bathroom. Some random girl was sitting on the floor next to the stall because the stall didn't have no door. And she's sitting just sitting on the floor in the other stall. And then people coming in and out. The bathroom is like super small. I'm like, you didn't just, threw this on me. I was not prepared for that. And now I'm having to do this in front of like 8 million and one people. Like, what is this?
Can't say I've ever had that experience.
Yeah, I was shaking with rage from this point. Then I get ready to leave. I'm in my civilian clothes because again, I said I'm in process and I'm just gonna come there. I'm thinking I'm just getting a signature. I'm walking down the hall and one of the Navy trainees whistled at me. Ooh. I said, "What is this? A cartoon?"
What?
One of these Navy trainees whistled at me. I was already to the edge and I didn't want to hurt nobody's kid. So I just kept on walking and went on upstairs. Then I get upstairs and they tell me, oh, we loaded your assignment wrong. You're going to have to come back to Herbert Field and out-process the base. I asked you a month in advance. Is this a permanent change of assignment or is this a permanent change of station? I gave you a month. And so now I'm thinking I'm free from this base. I got to come back. And then I go back. It doesn't stop here. I go back. I'm on the computer trying to fix my stuff. This civilian comes in there and he was like, oh, ma'am, you don't work here anymore. I said, admirable grasp of the situation. Your point? Well, you're on one of my machines. Again, and your point? Well, you out-processed, so you can't be on one of my machines. I'm going to be on it. I can tell you that.
But they told you had to go back and out-process, so.
Yes. Oh. He's just a jerk. That's number one. He's just a jerk and he wanted to be ugly. And I was like, hey, bro, today is not the day, and I am not that person. I have zero patience. I will mollywop you. Please stop talking to me. Don't talk to me no more.
You sound like that means today is not the day, and I am not the one.
Yeah, so I had a time today.
Kim?
Well, today is Wednesday, right? Is it Wednesday?
It is Wednesday, all day.
It's been good. I've been busy. I took a nap, so any day that I can have a nap is a okay day in my book. But it's I had a good meeting with some people, and I'm been finishing some projects, but other than that, just life of a single parent is a little stressful. But I'm alive, we're good, we're functioning.
You said
organized, functioning.
You said a keyword. You said a keyword. You said nap. Listen,
yes.
I saw a whole Instagram post where this guy said that people be going on nap dates where y'all get together.
Sign me up.
Daytime sleepovers, guys.
Daytime
sleepovers.
I'm for it. I'm like,
that's where it's at. Who's trying to do a daytime sleepover? No more nighttime sleepovers. If you are over the age of 30, it is now called a daytime sleepover because you need a nap in the middle of the day.
Listen, that whole thing, like all the women was like, is that a thing? And he was like, yes. And I was like, wow, we spooning at noon.
Oh my gosh.
At noon. That's going to be my hashtag. Don't nobody try to even copy it. That's my thing. We spoon at noon. That's it.
Well, you're going to see it on Instagram, so be prepared. You should trademark that.
I am going to hashtag it all in this video. You hear me? We spoon at noon.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, let's get to, speaking of, us giggling and smiling, let's get into today's topics, like time management, self-esteem. I feel like, although the two don't necessarily coincide, we know that both of them have to do with your mental health, and that's what we're here for, right? So yeah, I'm gonna get right because I know time management is your jam. So we'll get to the time management part, but let's talk
self-esteem.
And self-esteem.
2 for 2. Yeah.
Exactly. So I know that the word imposter syndrome has been picking up steam. Have either of you ever experienced imposter syndrome, and what's it like for you? Like when how did you drive past it when you had experienced it, I guess?
Well, I think first for the audience, we need to say what is imposter syndrome and why do we think it's picking up speed?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, you want me to define it?
Oh, I love it. You're the doctor here.
Not that kind of doctor. No. So for the general audience, imposter syndrome in a roundabout way is kind of like the comparison game. You find yourself in a situation, or your mind in a situation where you feel like you don't deserve to be where you are. So you start to assess people around you, situations around you, and you're like, I don't think that I'm supposed to be in this room. I'm not qualified enough. I haven't done what all these other people have done. So basically it's the self-inflicting wound of comparison. And so
a lot of doubt.
Yeah. And that's what imposter syndrome is. So I pose a question to you all. Have you ever felt that way?
Yes, absolutely. Multiple times. But for me, how I overcome it is I always remind myself of the facts. I have a pretty impressive track record for myself, but it's really hard to see that when you're a perfectionist. When you're a perfectionist, you always see where you're trying to get to and you never attain it. You never look back and see everything that you accomplish. So when I started getting to that place and I started second guessing myself about whether or not I'm good enough to do something or whether or not I have the talent or the skill set, I have to take a pause and I'll go back and look at the things that I've accomplished and the stuff that I've done and the lives that I impacted, and have to remind myself, this is what you've done before, Toni. You can do this. And that's how I get past it.
I love it. What about you, Kim? How do you push past imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I think, I sometimes get something that kind of bothers me is I'm a part of different organizations or groups or just communities where I'm just one of the younger ones. So sometimes it's hard to, I kind of feel like, should I even be here? The things that some of these people have done is just incredible. And that's when I really start to kind of doubt my abilities. So to get past that is, I just think of the word capacity. I'm a very big advocate for that word because I do have the capacity, and I think people should be rated or judged by their performance, not who they, maybe not their personality or their wealth or, necessarily other elements, demographics, but I just kind of remember that I do have the capacity. And if I don't know something, I'll figure it out. I'll make it happen. But I just remember that I have that capacity and capability to keep going. And so I think that's kind of what helps me get through that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, on a regular basis, just recently, I had the pleasure of being able to hold the audience of a one-star general. And literally 2 hours before the meeting, I'm in my room like, no, you can't do this. Like, I literally was telling myself, what am I doing? I'm not qualified to speak to him. I'm not prepared to. I got in my own head and was ready to convince myself to cancel this meeting because I was like, I don't know why he wants to talk to me. I don't have what other people, and what I essentially did was I started going onto the website. I started looking at people that he's talked to, and I started comparing myself against other people that he's had an audience with. And I'm like, I'm definitely not as qualified as X, Y, and Z. And if I could have slapped myself across the face, I probably would have. That's not how I pushed past it. Kind of like what both of you did. I looked at the things that I have done. One, why I'm where I am today, and the fact that I did work hard to get here. I didn't get an audience with him because, of sheer luck. I gained an audience to him because of the work that I've done and because someone else thought of me enough to say, you need to talk to her. So for me, it's kind of both, not disqualifying my credentials, and also just reminding myself of who I am.
I mean, sometimes you gotta talk to yourself like that, but I say all the time, when you are a person, living up to extraordinary expectations and you trying to impact life on a big scale, you're probably gonna develop a little bit of perfectionism. And what comes with that is that imposter syndrome sometimes, because you got to remember, we're trying to undo things that we may have been told directly or indirectly from people around us. And when we get to those places, those heights that we know we should be at, those voices come back, they come creeping in. And it's when you have to give yourself a stern talking to, be like, hold on, wait, we done did this before, we got this. Right. Get on in there and make it happen. And then what happens? You get in there and you make it happen.
I was sweating every time.
Yeah,
my core temperature went up.
Yeah, tripping for no reason.
Right. My core temperature went up like 10 degrees, but I was like, I did it. So the other question I want to ask, is we're all in the military, we've all worn a uniform, and it's awesome that we have 3 different branches represented today. But in terms of self-esteem and when you were in, whether you had an issue with self-esteem or how you think self-esteem can play a part in your ability to wear this uniform, show up every day. Because I have thoughts about self-esteem and being in that uniform, but how does self-esteem in the military?
What do you mean? How it affects how you lead, or?
Right. If you think about
how you show up,
how you perceive yourself when you're basically told you got to look like everybody else, you got to walk like everybody else, talk like everybody else, uniformity, and how that might play a role in self-esteem.
I mean, I think it can play, if you came in as a person who didn't have a strong sense of self, it's going to do a lot to your self-esteem. I was just talking to my mom about this, about how I know people who, when you talk to them, they know that they've done their best. They done put forth the effort, they done gave this organization their all, but yet all it takes is for one person to say something to them, and you got 23 years unraveling just like that. Me, on the other hand, I've always had a strong sense of self. It's nothing you finna say to me that's gonna unravel me, period. You can say whatever, I'm still gonna do whatever. That's just me. But everybody doesn't have a sense of self. And then you come into this organization where they're talking about you gotta be, you gotta conform to this and conform to that, and it's this group thing. And you come into it young, you may not ever get to the opportunity of developing that strong sense of self and being an authentic leader. It's so rare to meet a leader who shows up as their authentic selves. And I think people's lives are forever changed when you show up as your authentic self. But it's rare to see something like that. I've only seen it maybe twice. And one of those was me. That's it.
I've seen it in myself. What about you, Kim?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I kind of like I would follow up on what Toni said. Just having that having that approach would be, I guess, most effective or productive. But that's something I'd like to have to sit and think on and kind of theorize about. I don't know. What about you? What are your thoughts?
So and I know I had like sent you guys a kind of the blurb on it, but there was I think about it in the sense that I had this one young lady when I was working in foster care. She wanted to join the military. And and I didn't discourage her, but what I said to her is, you must do some you work first. The military is not where you go to identify who you are. You have to come in as a whole person. Conformity will leave you confused and with low self-esteem if you get caught up in that breakdown to build you up. So, the drill sergeants, again, every branch is different. As we like to make fun of the Air Force and say they don't have drill sergeants, but in the Army, we don't.
We have military training instructors. Ma'am.
Well, I think part of that, there are individuals that are part of that breakdown. And that's why I said I'd have to think about it, because you may have this, breakdown and, of your identity or who you are, and you become one and whatever those commercials show you. But overcoming that, and I think being able to identify and find who you are, I think is, it's really impactful, and it takes a lot of work to do that. So that's why I'm thinking, like, when you ask the military's role in that, or what it's like being in the military, you leave your home, you go into something that's completely unknown. And even if you're a military child, you've never served active duty, right? So when you leave and you join the military, you don't even know, regardless of your age, you don't know who you are. And a lot of people are joining before their brains are even developed. So you're literally developing as you're joining and serving, making rank, trying to find who you are, your identity, what your role is in the military, let alone society. And as you start to kind of work through that, I think it's important to consider that that's a lot of work. And you go through a lot of stuff. And so it's, more than just, it's difficult. It's also kind of, I don't want to say rewarding, but it's triumphant, I guess. So that's what I was kind of thinking.
I mean, you kind of challenged my thought process there for a second, and understanding that 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, when they come in, don't know who they are. And the only thing that I can counter that with is their upbringing. And you already know how I feel about the type of people that are coming into the military, maybe coming in with issues and things already. So just how do you have a strong sense of self when you don't know who you are? And you're now in an organization that's like, I'm going to tell you who you are. And I think it's challenging to have to build that type of character in an environment where you may have people who are purposely like, I have to strip you of who you are in order to make you a soldier, make you an airman, make you a Marine. You know what I mean? So I think I think self-esteem absolutely plays a part in it. And here's the other part of that. When you identify yourself as a soldier and an airman for 23 years, and then you get out and you no longer have that identity, Now we've got to build up your self-esteem in some other area, because this is all you've known for
all over again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now. Well, not for me, but for other people who are getting out that's gonna take this journey with me. We all gonna retire. I always ask, how you feel now that you're gonna retire? And I always hear, well, I'm nervous because this is the only thing I ever known. And I'm like, not me. I'll get out and live in a cardboard box and work a lemonade stand. I'm so ready to go. Like, I'm not nervous, not one bit. But then again, I also went through the military differently than a lot of people. Yeah. One thing I will say is, when you identify yourself as an individual and you have that strong sense of self, you will be attacked in the military. The military is not a place for individuals, and it's definitely not a place for you to be your authentic self.
Right.
So you got to think, if you're in this for 20 years, you either are going to be one of those people that stand out front and take the blows to the face, or you're going to be the person that cower in the back and survive.
Yeah. Doing the right thing.
Those are only two choices you got.
Yeah. Doing the right thing even when no one's watching, and just being different. Doing the right thing, period, sometimes can make you an outsider. I get it.
Yeah.
The last thing in regards to self-esteem. So there are some things that I've found, ways that you can lift your self-esteem. I know for me, there are things that I do to kind of help boost my self-esteem. I recently came across a post, and I'm so mad that I can't remember his name. I think it's Prince E.A.
Prince E.A.?
Yes. So he started talking about auto-suggestion. And I love the idea of auto-suggestion. So he talked about a philosopher, I want to say, or someone who did a lot of studies on auto-suggestion. And he challenged people to do this auto-suggestion of saying every day 20 times. And he didn't say how long you had to say it for or any amount of time, but every day you get up and you look at yourself in the mirror and you say in the mirror, every day, and in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day, and in every way, I'm getting better and better. So I did it a couple of times. I'm not going to lie. He was like, I think you have to say it in the morning, or you say it at night or something like that. I'm terrible at doing stuff at night, because when I hit the bed, I'm like, and I'm slurring my every day and every way. I'm all over the place, falling asleep in between my words. But some other things that I looked up: stop criticizing yourself, stop comparing yourself, start practicing gratitude, and start moving. Those last two are absolutely on my list. Gratitude and moving. Exercise is like therapy for me, but gratitude is probably the one thing that I absolutely do practice every morning. Just waking up and thanking God for the smallest thing. I don't care what it is. Thank you that I have food. Thank you that I have a warm bed and a cool house or something, depending on what time of the year is. But I think gratitude is key to self-esteem, because I think if you're grateful, if you realize like the things that you have, you work towards the better part. I can do better. I can be better. So that's kind of my idea. But what do you guys do to kind of help boost your self-esteem?
Well, luckily for me, I was blessed enough to be raised by very, very strong women. And by strong, I don't mean these are like your strong Black women where they don't show emotion. I mean, we do have it too. But when I grew up, I was always affirmed. I was never told that there was anything that was not within my reach. I never grew up that way. I didn't live with that reality. And even as an adult, I don't live with that reality. But to further keep myself going and keep myself up, I like to surround myself. I do practice gratitude, but I like to surround myself with messages that affirm that. So I listen to music a lot. I'm a music lover. Anything that I listen to is always, if you listen to it, you'll be like, oh, you're really confident. I mean, all the music you listen to is about being confident. And that's all I really listen to. I'm not listening to nothing that's going to make me feel bad or make me feel bitter about something that's going on. It's always going to be something that's going to keep me motivated, keep me positive, and keep me focused on what matters. But what I also tell people is compliment yourself. Stop waiting for other people to compliment you. If you wait for other people to compliment you, you're going to be waiting forever. And when somebody compliments you, accept that graciously. It's so easy for people to accept negative things that people say about them, but God forbid you say something positive. Oh my God, no. Self-deprecating ain't never been cool. Stop it. Cut it. It don't make you humble. I don't think that, you're being modest. I think you're just being low vibrational. Cut that out. If somebody give you tell you that you look good or you look great, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that about me. I appreciate that. I do, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
That's why I call y'all beautiful. Y'all know when I send y'all emails, I be like, "Hi, beautiful ladies." I love calling.
I know when I see it, I'd be like, I know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So something that I tell myself is progress, not perfection. And I've actually learned that like a workout group. And I know it's been said other places as well, but I'm a perfectionist also. And, through some of the things that I've been through, just to be transparent, like I've recognized now that I just have this deep need to prove myself, even if I didn't need to. And proving myself meant being perfect and there not being any flaws. And I mean, that's extremely stressful to live like that every day. While I'm still having flaws, and so I just tell myself like progress, not perfection, because I'll really beat myself up about, well, I did this, or I should have eaten that, or I should have ran a little longer today, whatever the case may be. And so the thing is like, well, progress, not perfection. And it's not, I could see how people would use that kind of as an excuse maybe, and kind of, oh, well, progress, not perfection. But really it's just, what, I wasn't running every day, but now I ran 3 times this week. And changing, instead of saying I only ran 3 times this week, just saying I ran 3 times this week, and just that recognizing what you did do and not minimizing it. I think a lot of people minimize kind of what Toni was saying about it's easy to accept something negative, but people really minimize the good that they do. And you can still be humble and grateful without minimizing your success and, the things you overcome in your progress. So progress,
Absolutely.
not perfection.
I love that. So
I'm working on the perfectionism thing though. I think if you're a social worker, you're probably a perfectionist and probably didn't know that you were a perfectionist.
My therapist says I have control issues. I don't know what she's talking about. I don't recognize it yet. Anyway.
Okay.
Right over. So the last thing I'll say, you guys know, like I love to talk about my mom, and maybe you've heard me say this before. The audience may have heard me say it before. People that know how I talk about my mom know that my mom dripped confidence. Like my mom was the epitome of confident. And the reason why I say that, and I strive to be like her, as I was telling my friend today, my mom, never really wore makeup. Like I never seen my mom make lipstick. She was like, I never leave the house without lipstick. And that was it. Maybe eyeshadow if she got like super dressed up or her wedding day. But I'm gonna be honest, I looked at her like my mom's wedding photos and I'm like, I don't think my mom wore makeup at all. But what made my mom's confidence otherworldly to me was the fact that my mother never, and when I say never, ever asked anybody how she looked. It was not a question. I don't know if it was that she didn't care what you thought about her or she already knew that she looked good. But my mother never asked anybody. She didn't ask my father, and she certainly didn't ask her kids. Like she just put her stuff together and that was it. You couldn't tell her nothing. And that level of confidence, I if I could just a portion of that, how my mother just carried herself. Couldn't tell her nothing. And she would be dead wrong and still be confident. Like I was. I did do that once, but I'm just saying that kind of confidence, my mother was just out of the world with that type of confidence. And it didn't require her to do a whole lot. And that I admire. about her.
You don't have to when you're confident. People, they respond to confidence regardless of how you dress. I always tell people, like, you know, being sexy and all this other stuff is not how you look. It's about who you are on the inside. You can look any kind of way and still exude, you know, that confidence or that magnetism that people try to, you know, get. But you know what? I'm glad you brought up, you know, your mom never asked anybody how she looked. I never do that. I never even think to do that. I didn't even know that was a thing. I was like,
I definitely have looked at put something on my husband and be like,
nah, I'm like, look, I look how I look. You either with me or you ain't.
Let's get into time management. Because I know this is your niche, your thing.
It is.
Let's get into it. Okay, so according to this study done by McLean Hospital, and I forget where McLean Hospital is, don't come after me. Those who struggle with time management are more likely to experience stress, sleep issues, anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. It's not really a game changer. Like I feel like most people know if you don't manage your time, you're going to be stressed out. So I want to break down a typical day, like all three of us, just break down a typical day. Now, when I say a typical day, I don't want you to go over like your entire schedule, but what do you do? What do you do to manage your time? Like, how do you start your day? And then how do you end your day? If that makes sense. Like, how do you start your day to manage your time? And then how do you end your day? All right, I'll go first because I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So ending my day is how I start my day. And I'll tell you why. For me, I set my intentions for the day before I go to bed. It is super important for me to set my intentions for the next day. And the reason why I say intentions and not a to-do list is because that, to me, it's less stressful, and to understand that I am intentionally going to do these things, not a to-do list. So I set my intentions for the day before I go to bed. It's the last thing that I do before I calm my mind down, but I go over my list of things, what's a priority and what's not. So I kind of just go over my checklist, and sometimes I'll make stars. I absolutely have to do this tomorrow. No questions asked. Everything else can be pushed to the next day if I don't get to it. So I try not to like stress over me checking things off my list, but I set my intentions the night before. And then the next day when I get up, I look at my list, figure out what I have time, room, meetings, and all that in between. And that's how I manage my day. If it's emails, I'm like, okay, I do separate those. Emails, phone calls, physically having to do something, like go to the store, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of me, how I manage my day. And that was like,
yeah, I think that's the same for me as well. I have to have that the night before. I pull up my calendar and I look at it, because I just, in a way, it's kind of like mentally preparing myself for the next day. I mean, even like, okay, what am I going to wear? Just because, you know, if I'm just going to the office and I just need a day in sweatpants, like, and nobody, I'm like, oh, I'll just wear sweatpants, you know, but that's, to me, in a way, allowing myself to have a moment of relaxing. And so it's important that I know what I'm doing the next day, so I wake up and I can mentally prepare myself for that. Especially, you know, having kids, like, you never know what they're going to end up popping off, and you just, so if I can kind of, I don't want to say control, but if I can prepare myself for everything that I know I have to do during the day, if something's going on with the kids, or, you know, there's a change in plans, like, it's much more manageable because I kind of have an idea already, and I mentally prepared myself for, and I think emotionally as well, prepared myself for what I'm going to have to handle that next day.
All right, so
master of management.
Look here, I'm about to retire, so my days are just pretty loose. You know, I'm here out the kindness of my heart, and because I don't want to go to jail, and I'm under contract. But I will give you an example of how I use time management. So when I was in grad school, I was over this section that was like very, very busy. I had 6 subordinates. They were all brand new to the Air Force. So you know what that's like. You building them from the ground up. and I'm in the busiest section, and I'm in grad school, and I'm doing an internship. Then I think I had a second job or something like that. So how I did it was when it came to my school, and I was struggling with PTSD really, really bad. So it was really hard to focus. So I would get my syllabus and see what the papers would be due. And I would take each day, write a page of the paper while I'm going through the course. So by the time we got to the end of the 15 weeks, I have a full paper. I'm not going crazy. I would do my internships from midnight to 4, and then go to work from 7:30 to 4:30, and then go to school at night. So I set up my time from midnight to 4. I'm only focused on my internship, which was on the Suicide Lifeline. I go home, get a little sleep. I already had my schedule set for what goes on during the day, of what I need to do, how many contracts I need to sign, re-enlistment contracts I need to sign, who has upgrade training, and then I block it out based on that. So on Mondays, I may do just emails. On Wednesdays, I might do upgrade training for my subordinates. And then at night, I got my classes. I already have the syllabus mapped out because they gave it to me. So I have it blocked out for 15 weeks of what I'm going to be doing each and every day.
Yeah, that's a lot of not sleep. I don't know if I could handle that, but I identify with you in terms of grad school and really trying to get ahead of it. It took me about a semester and a half to do the paper, get ahead of my papers to write every day. I wound up joining a group to help me, but there I say. You already kind of answered my second question about time management in uniform. For me, time management was just wildly different depending on what unit I was in. When I was with the engineers, I was going through trial. So my days were super easy. It wasn't a whole lot other than just being a mom and managing being a mom. But when I got to CAV, it was very different because I was the DTO. And we had, NTC rotations, soldiers going out, movement. As a transportation officer, it was just crazy. Because we would have flights where we had to be at the ADAG at 2:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning, or California time, something happened. So I had to be available. Time management was a little bit more difficult when I was in CAV. I will say in terms of being able to take care of my kids, I was the crock pot queen. That darn crock pot saved my life. I had one of those crock pots that had the 3 different pots in it, and I would put a meat in one and a dessert in another and a vegetable, and all I had to do was make rice or potatoes or something to go on. Let me tell you something. I had crock pot stuff in the deep freezer. Bruh, that crock pot saved my kid's life. Ain't nobody ever gonna
Yep.
It was
I do everything in the crock pot. I'm okay.
Dessert, all of it. Dump cake became my thing. My kids to this day, my sister and my kids to this day love dump cakes because I introduced them to dump cakes. Whew. You have no idea.
The crock pot.
From the crock pot. Listen, crock pot. Okay, so let me see. What else did I find that we can talk about? Some key things. And here, Coach Toni, you can help our audience out. Key elements about time management. 1, they say, define your activities, sequence your activities, estimate what resources you're going to need, estimate the duration, which I feel like that's kind of sequencing them. Did I just make up a new word? I might.
Sort of.
Okay. Develop a schedule and then control the schedule.
Yes.
You agree?
Yeah. I will also say if you're a person that's struggling with depression or PTSD and it's hard to focus, those techniques will definitely help. Sometimes, it's really hard to get motivated to do stuff. So when I run into something like that, what I like to do is okay, Toni, today we're going to focus an hour of developing your website. And I put the timer on. Yes. I don't even wait. And it's the same thing when it comes to if I'm having, say I'm having intrusive thoughts, they're going to intrude anyway. Yeah. So what I'll say to myself, okay, Toni, these thoughts want to come into your mind. They want you to focus on them. we're only going to give them 30 minutes. I'll put the timer on. And then once I'm done with that, I move on to something else. You can manage literally everything in your life based on time if you really want to. And it really helps me it keeps the anxiety down. It keeps me focused. And then it takes me to what Kim was talking about, that progress versus perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It helps me stay in reality.
Yeah. Kim,
like at least I did 30 minutes of this. I may not have done a whole day of this, but I did do 30 minutes. And you want to make your goals manageable and attainable. Don't be saying like, oh, I'm going to do 2 hours and write this paper. Don't do that.
Yeah. Smart
goals. Small increments, what you can do. 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Because when you do stuff like that, that also helps build your self-esteem, because as you achieve goals, it builds your self-esteem as you're constantly meeting the goals that you set for yourself, realistic goals.
Especially if you have attention issues or even anxiety, depression. Like my daughter, I didn't even realize had test anxiety. We didn't know that in high school with her, that she has test anxiety. We didn't really figure that out until about her senior year. But Kim, do you use any apps like timers? Are you a timer person? I'm a timer person.
Yeah. No, I use my project management app, Asana. I'm working on using it more, but I'm not really a timer person. I'm just more like, okay, what are my goals for the next couple of weeks? And I do have those on my phone, but then I break it down into a paper planner, still carry a planner. And I say, my calendar, my dual calendar, I tell people looks like Mardi Gras. That thing's got colors all over the place. So projects or big tasks that I need, I sit down and I'm like, okay, this week I have all these things going on. And on my paper planner, I'll put Monday, I'm going to work on this project. Tuesday, I'm going to work on that project. So in between meetings and events and appointments, I'm able to say, okay, well, this is the project for the day I'm going to work on, anytime I get a minute type thing. So it's not necessarily a 20-minute, hour long. It's more of, I'm going to dedicate this day to getting this project done, making significant progress on this project.
See, I can't do that. That would drive me. I've tried that in creating webinars, and it's just impossible for me because I found a lady who described herself as neurospicy, and I don't yet know what neurospicy means, but I feel like it's
right.
I was going to say, what is neurospicy?
Oh, I'm going to Google it afterwards. But when she started describing herself as neurospicy, it was kind of like the kind of person that goes down a rabbit hole of information and does this like dump. And I'm like, I think I'm neurospicy. So for me, the reason why I can't do I can do this in a day is because when I'm looking up research, when I'm looking up information, I go down a rabbit hole of asking questions. I'm like, okay, I'm reading this article, and then suddenly I've got a question. I'm writing down that question, and now I got to Google the answer to my question, and I get to that article, and then I'm like, oh, and then they quote somebody I've never heard of, and let me go look at that book. I'm horrible at going down rabbit holes.
You're an information junkie.
I am.
Hey, me too. My name is Toni. Hi.
Nice to meet you. So I'm going to look up neurospicy, but I feel like I might be neurospicy. But anyway, I wrote down the apps because I am going to be putting these in our, getting better at when we upload our videos about putting our information on there. I think I told Kim about the app that I have called Plant. I used the Plant app. Was it you? It was you. So I use the Plant app to kind of keep me focused and away from my phone that distracts me. And basically, I'm going to see if I can put it on the screen. But I love it because it's like a virtual planting of trees, plants, anything. And you cannot touch your phone. It goes into almost like a do not disturb mode. And if you touch it, you kill your trees. I'm not a tree killer. What I love about the app is also you get these like coins depending on how often you plant. Those coins can turn into real trees that they will plant on your behalf. And I love it.
That is
It's called
amazing and traumatic all at the same time.
It is, because you don't want to be a tree killer. I don't like to be a tree killer. So let me show you my forest. So this is what I've done so far in the month of, you see all my trees that I planted in the month of January.
Getting a lot of oxygen, huh?
Yeah, and then it tells you how many hours you've actually been focused. I've been focused for 32 hours. It's not a lot.
Look at you.
Not a lot of time. So yeah, you can't take phone calls. You can't touch it. If you touch your phone, it'll tell you stop fubbing around, which is their word of saying.
Like Kim's
right.
full-time support.
It'll be like, put your phone down. For full-time support. You're gonna get that for the rest of the 2023, Kim. But I do love that app. I do love that app because it does force you to stop getting on social media and not pick up your phone. Don't answer it. I usually put my phone in do not disturb anyway when I'm planting, just so only people that are on my like favorites list can get through. But I think that's an incredible resource. I'm gonna put Asana down as well for project management resources. Anybody else have any other suggestions? Because I know there's a million of them out there, but if you use Asana, I'll put Asana in our link.
I've used Monday as well. I think part of it is just finding what you're comfortable with. And there are so many automated systems and programs out there. I just, I recommend being able to look, kind of see what feels good for you and what, you're comfortable with, but don't spend so much time trying to find the best time management app. Like, do what is comfortable for you and work it out that way.
Don't go down a neurospicy rabbit hole.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I set time for that too.
Okay, so we're coming up to the end. I want to get to our, one of our segments that we like to highlight on Glass Soldier, and that's Are You Aware? I need a music button. I'm gonna get me a music button. I feel like there needs to be an intro, but Are You Aware? It's basically where we highlight awareness that's going on around the world, nationally, locally, globally. So February, Black History Month. Shout out to all the Black people. I identify as Black woman.
Kim
is Black adjacent.
Invited to the barbecue.
I'm invited to the barbecue, so that's cool. Chill. I don't know what to say. Working on my vocabulary.
Yeah.
But I do 100% support. I do what I can, and we've had a lot of conversations, not here on the podcast, but just about, Dr. Poe and I worked on a project together, and we were kind of sharing, like, we can't approach things a certain way because of who we are and, what we identify as. And I can't even, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I can't, necessarily either relate or say that I understand. But I think it's important, there's a lot of things that we do out there, different conversations that have happened, and it's learning. But I would definitely say that it's something that needs to be celebrated. I love celebrating different cultures and history. But I think it's definitely, this month is extremely important.
I think Kim, and I've said it before, and she knows that I will give her flowers. I think she is the epitome of an ally because she does use her platform.
Yeah.
Doesn't just talk the talk. She uses her platform. And I think people really need to understand allyship and what that really means. Not just hashtags and you going on and reposting something, but using your platform and using your voice. So Kim is, if an ally was a person, Kim's face would be next to it. That's what I'm talking about. So Black History Month, we're going to talk about Tyler Perry doing the movie for the 688, which I listen, I love Tyler, and I really hope that he does this justice because, let's be honest, Tyler Perry's known for being a comedian. He puts out content. And I know he's got some shows on OWN or something like that are kind of serious, like The Oval, or, I don't know, Sister Wives or something. It's probably not Sister Wives. I think it's called The First Wives Club. Something like that. I don't know. Either way, I know he can go back and forth. He's really trying to open up to being having a different genre of.
He did For Colored Girls. I think he did I think he did very well with something that's very complicated.
Yeah.
I think he did very well.
And so I'm excited about the 688 because for our audience, please go Google them. It was a all Black female unit that was sent over to Europe during World War II. They were basically a postal unit, and they were in charge of getting all the mail out. From the videos and the research that I did, they basically were called over there and was like, this is a mess. You guys got XYZ timeline to get it done. And they did.
And resources, very limited resources.
And they did. And they did. Mm-hmm. So I really hope that he does justice.
And they were just given the Congressional Medal of Honor last year, which is far too long for them to have to wait for that. But yeah, they got it done.
Listen, I think in terms of Black History Month that we're still going to see a lot of first. And I can't wait. And I probably will never see the day that we don't have first. But as long as we continue to recognize the first, this and the first that, then we no longer have to, do that anymore. It'll become the norm. And we no longer have to have that, that preceding conversation of this is the first Black woman or it's the first Black man to do that. I hope one day in history, it's not just the first anymore. But I love the idea of him doing the movie. I'm excited about that. Celebrating these phenomenal Black women. I don't believe that any of them are still around.
I wouldn't think so, because what is it, World War II?
Yeah, I think that one of the ladies had a statue, and I think her granddaughter or someone was there with her. She may have been one of the few remaining surviving women of the 688. It's very rare to see World War II soldiers around. There are some of them that are. I know my dad got a chance to meet one. My dad's 90, and that puts him right at the end of World War II. But yeah, seeing some of them around. Okay, the other awareness days. I'm kind of excited about this one, even though I really can't have it. National Pizza Day on February 9th.
Why can't you have pizza, ma'am?
It's my stomach.
That's un-American.
It's my stomach. It's my stomach.
Well, I guess you get a pass.
I can't do cheese.
I'll eat a slice of pizza for you. What about you, Kim? Are you gonna eat a slice of pizza for DeAndre?
Stuffed crust.
I got you.
Oh, you are totally muted, ma'am.
I was on mute. I'm just chit-chatting. I'm sorry. Pizza is we have that probably once a week, which I'm working on that. We're doing a lot actually to improve our healthy eating, but
put some spinach on top of it.
We'll take your pizza for you.
It's not perfection. It's progress.
Put some spinach or broccoli on it or something. I know people that eat broccoli on pizza, but healthy pizza. Listen, vegan pizza is, or I want to say non-dairy. I'm not going to say vegan. Non-dairy pizza is not so bad. They are getting better with the cheeses. I'm going to be honest. It's the one thing that I miss the most is cheese. I don't miss anything else, but cheese. Oh my gosh, the cheese, non-dairy cheese is just not good. Some of them are just not good.
Because it's not cheese. I had some vegan ice cream, and if death had a taste, it would taste like that ice cream.
Oh, you haven't had the good kind yet. I'm sorry. You should have started off with Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's absolutely did it right. You need to go to Ben & Jerry's.
Did they?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
It was by mistake that I had that, and I was just like, what is this?
Go get Ben & Jerry's. I promise it'll change your life. Ben & Jerry's.
And when it doesn't, I will call you.
Okay, the last one. National Love Your Pet Day. Oh,
yay.
I miss my boogers. But I still got my 2 cats. But Daisy, is Daisy ever gonna retire? And what does that look like for a dog when they retire?
So it's heartbreaking. You never hear about that actually. Service dogs, what happens when, they retire or they pass. So I don't know. Daisy's going to live forever. She gets homemade food and a lot of vitamins, and I carry her if there's a lot of stairs because labs have bad hips. So she's going to live forever. That's what I keep telling myself as I roll my eyes. But she I don't know. I want her to have a happy life. And I feel like even if I told her to retire, she would look at me like I was crazy and say, no, mom, like I'm coming with you. She'd be doing her Eeyore walk across the house trying to get over to me. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with after that, after Daisy.
I was just talking about her retiring from her job and you getting another service dog, letting Daisy
That's
retire.
what I'm saying. And she won't let me. She is the boss. She is boss dog. So she will like mope herself over across the house to say, I'm coming too, you know. I'll buy a wagon and drag her around before I not let her.
Have you
not
seen the
come with me.
movie A
So
Dog's Life or A Dog's Life
I
or A
have.
Dog's
I
Purpose?
can watch those. I just cry the whole time.
Those are so
Oh, can't
good.
be.
I love those.
Yeah.
Animals are like the best people.
They are. They are.
They're the best
Absolutely.
people.
I absolutely believe dogs go to heaven. I know when we had to send our Apollo over the rainbow, I remember my daughter asking me, and you guys know Brianna's 21 years old, and she was like, "Where does he go, Mom?" And I was like, I honestly believe they go to heaven. I honestly believe that all dogs are good boys and they go to heaven because I really believe that like they just embody all the good stuff. Like you cannot just have a bad day if you have a dog or a cat. Like you can't. Now, mind you, I know it's some people that are non-cat people out there. They're gonna come for me, but I love my baby. I love my cats. Their personalities are the best. Let me tell you something. I love the attitude. I love the fact that they be like, I don't want you to touch me right now. And then like 2 minutes later, psych, come here, girl. Touch me. I love it. I'm gonna love on Cain and Abel on the 20th. All day.
That's what's up.
All day.
I don't have any animals. It's just me. So I love on other people's pets when I see them.
It's like grandkids. Like
I know it's the best thing. I could play with them, get them all riled up, and I'll be like, okay, you're going back across the street.
And listen, my son has become the resident like dog sitter in his apartment complex. I didn't share with the audience, but when we went to send Apollo over the rainbow, Elijah's apartment complex just rallied around him. Like it was the most amazing thing. They gave Apollo like a send-off and everything. They had a party for him. It was incredible. Like all the dogs came to the dog park just to hang out with Apollo before we sent him over the rainbow. And I think that's probably the hardest thing for a lot of people is like just that process. But either way, his apartment complex rallied around him. I remember the day that it happened, one of his neighbors just came up to him and hugged him and was like, I'm here for you guys. It was amazing. And now everyone knows that, Elijah is by himself. So all the neighbors are like, hey, I got to go out of town. Can you watch my dog for me? Every time I turn around, Elijah's got somebody's damn dog in his house. He's just got somebody else's dog in his house. So I think on, February 20th, Elijah's going to nationally love all his neighbors' pets day because they just.
Hey, I don't blame them. You cannot hear like the little jingle of their little tag and not instantly get excited or see a dog and smile. Like when I see a dog, I could be having the absolute worst day. I can see people all day long. But if I see a dog,
yes,
I'm automatically smiling and I always talk to the dog. The bad part about me is I have to remember that they're attached to a person and I have to speak to them because I only talk to the dog. And I'm like, can I pet you? And the lady was like, he's friendly. Oh, well, I'm talking to the dog. I'm not talking to you. Okay. If the dog said it's okay to pet them, then I will pet him. But I didn't ask you. Okay.
Excuse me, I'm not talking to you. Okay, I'm talking to Fido. I'm talking.
Like when they start talking, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, you do have a person. Hey, how are you doing?" Wasn't talking to you, but okay.
I highly recommend that you volunteer at the ASPCA for real.
I have.
Game changer too. Okay, the last thing I'm gonna say about animals, it is a dopamine fix for me. I absolutely watch cat videos. Like if I'm having a bad day and I've got to go down the rabbit hole of I can't sleep, I'm watching cat or dog videos, like animal videos all day long. It's like an instant dopamine fix for me. So
doesn't Dodo get you?
Yeah.
All the little animal success stories. I'm like 10 hours later, I didn't watch 8 million success stories. And I'm like tearing up like, oh my God, they saved them.
I love the voiceover guy who does the voiceovers for the animals, like they're humans. Like that guy. I don't
Tony,
not Tony
biggest
Baker.
lesson.
Tony Baker does a good job. There's another guy, and I'm gonna have to send y'all the video. He does the videos where like there was one where this dog tore up his owner's room, and she came in. She was like, "What did you do?" He was like, "I told you don't leave me, and you left me." And she was like, "Why did you do this?" He was like, "Because I told you not to leave me, and you left me, and this is what I did." And she was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "The same stuff that's on that side." So I love his videos. I'm gonna have to send them to you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're about to get off of here. At the end of the podcast, I always tell everybody, I thank you for your time. It's a finite resource I can't give back to you. So when you spend it with me, I appreciate you. And that's it, people. Be good, do good.
I gotta say one more thing. My mentor, Shirley Spears, will like destroy me if I don't say this. I'm a part of a project called the Buffalo Soldiers Memorial, and the San Angelo NAACP is leading it. We're building a memorial here in San Angelo, Texas, and the Buffalo Soldiers are also an incredible group of Black people who were soldiers, but were not considered soldiers during their time, but had a huge impact. A lot of people don't know that they were the first park rangers and the first border patrol. They served along Teddy Roosevelt. So everyone's seen that picture of Teddy Roosevelt. I think it's San Juan Hill, and he's got, he took the hill. Well, that's a cropped picture. If you look at the real picture, it's a full picture of Buffalo soldiers standing there beside him, who essentially saved him. But a lot of people don't know that piece of the history, right? So we're working with expert historians, of course, for fundraising. If you want to support, that's awesome. But if you haven't taken the time to look at the yes, you'll have the link. So if you haven't taken the time to look at the Buffalo Soldiers, it's definitely it's incredible. So yeah, we have some pretty incredible people on our team. The great grandson of one of them, Henry O. Flipper, he's the first Black graduate from West Point. So you gotta look him up. So I just had to throw that out there for this month's celebrations.
Awesome.
And that is why Kim is our ally, guys.
Yes, that is why Kim is an ally. I love it. And we'll definitely make sure we put the link in our bios and on our YouTube channel. So thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. Coming in with a clutch at the end.
I'm sorry. I got to throw it in there.
No worries. All right. And that is a wrap.